Hello, today we are going to make a review of mixed rephrasing practice. Okay, so we are going to do some exercises of rephrasing or rewriting, and as you know, these sentences consist of that they give you an original sentence. Then there is another sentence at the beginning of another sentence or part of that sentence, and you have to write the first sentence, the original sentence, with different words but without changing the meaning of the original sentence. The first advice I could give you is that read the first sentence carefully, the original sentence carefully. Why? Because first of all, you need to know the meaning of that sentence, and also you need to know what the speaker or what the message of the sentence is. What is the speaker's intention when he says this? Maybe he wants to give a piece of advice, or maybe he wants to state a condition, etc., etc. So, for example, let's see the first example. If you left out the chapter, you can't really criticize it. And the meaning of this is, pay attention to the verb. Si tú dejas fuera el capítulo, si tú dejas sin leer un capítulo, tú no puedes realmente criticarlo. No puedes hacer una crítica. So, in the second sentence we see unless. So remember that unless is negative. It is the same as if plus a negative verb, if not, like if not. So here means that after unless, you need to write a sentence, the same sentence, maybe unless you left out the chapter, and this means si tú no dejas, because it's negative, si tú no dejas un capítulo fuera, el capítulo fuera o sin leer, si tú no dejas fuera el capítulo, si tú no lo dejas fuera, entonces you can really criticize it. Si lo lees, puedes realmente criticarlo. So the change is here. Can't becomes can, because more or less the idea is the same. The idea of the original sentence is the same, but we use different words. So you can really criticize it. Okay, number two. Let's see number two. Let's read this one. I didn't answer the teacher's questions because I couldn't hear her. So let's pay attention to this sentence and the meaning. I didn't answer, no contesté a la respuesta, a las preguntas, de la profesora o del profesor porque yo no pude escucharla. Bien, entonces, de acuerdo. The second sentence begins with if. It's a conditional sentence. Let's see, now we have to ask ourselves, what type of conditional is this? Okay, have you seen this? I didn't answer, so it refers to the past, and all actions that refer to the past, when we use a conditional sentence, then it is the third conditional because it refers to the past. So if I could have heard the teacher, comma, remember to use a comma, I would have answered her questions or the questions. Also, so if I could have heard, I would have answered. Okay, there are other possibilities, like if I could have heard the teacher's questions, I would have answered her, or yes, I could have answered her, or I could have answered them. There are several possibilities and they are all correct. So we have seen a conditional with unless, another conditional, the third conditional, and now let's see this other sentence. It was wrong of Mary to tell Steve about us. And I write here in brackets modal. You need to use a modal verb. Let's see which one. To know which modal verb we need to use, we must think about and ask ourselves, what is the message, what is the intention of the speaker when he or she says, if it was wrong of Mary to tell, what is the intention? It was wrong. She didn't do well. She didn't do it well. So maybe an advice, a piece of advice in negative, Mary shouldn't. I can guess it. Mary shouldn't. It was wrong of Mary to tell Steve. Mary shouldn't, and it is in the past. The sentence is in the past. So all the sentences that are in the past, when we use a modal, must be a modal perfect. Shouldn't have. Mary shouldn't have told Steve about us. Okay, Mary no debió haber, no debería haberle dicho nada a Steve acerca de nosotros. Okay, and in the last sentence we have another modal here. There was an obligation to turn off the phones. There was an obligation. Let's pay attention to the meaning of this sentence. Había una obligación, an obligation. Okay, so in this case, the modal for obligation or compulsory things that are compulsory, then we need to use maybe must, yes. So must, the sentence is in the past, okay? There was. For obligations in the past, we cannot use a modal perfect. For obligations in the past, we need to change must for had to in the positive form, but in the negative or interrogative form, we need to say didn't have to, or did you have to? Okay, so in this case, which is an affirmative sentence, it is an obligation in the past. We cannot use must for obligations in the past. We need to change it for had to. We had to turn off the phones. Okay, and these are the 4 first examples of rewriting sentences. Now, let's see other examples. I'm coming back. Okay, hello again. So I read this sentence just in case you don't see it properly, but I say the sentence goes like that. I regret not buying tickets for the concert. Okay, I regret. This means me arrepiento o lamento. Not buying. Usually all regrets refer to the past, to something that happened in the past. So, I regret not buying tickets for the concert. Lamento no comprar entradas para el concierto. So, I wrote two possible rephrasing sentences. One is I wish, ojalá. And remember that the structure for wish, talking about the past, is wish plus past perfect. Had plus past participle. So, I wish, ojalá, yo hubiese comprado. So, not disappears. I wish I had bought tickets for the concert, okay? And we see the structure if only, which has the same meaning as I wish. When we are talking about a past situation. If only, ojalá, I had bought tickets for the concert. Okay? Now, in number 6, we have the living room hasn't been painted for 2 years. Okay, now here we see a particular structure, which is the verb to be plus participle. So this structure is obviously the passive voice, but the verb to be is written in the present perfect, okay? Because it talks about for 2 years. And the meaning is, la salita no ha sido pintada durante 2 años. And now the subject is we. So it refers to the fact that a person, in this case we are not going to paint it. Well, we could paint it, but in this case we usually tend to pay for having this done. We usually pay someone to do something, and this is the causative form. When we ask someone to do something for us. Cuando encargamos algo a alguien. Okay. So the living room hasn't been painted for 2 years. We need to use the causative. So we need to remember that the causative is have plus participle. Have something done plus, I repeat, have something done. Have plus object plus past participle. Okay. And we need to we need to see first of all the meaning of the sentence. We've already done that, and also the verb tense here is the present perfect. It's a present perfect. So how can we write the verb have? We need to write the verb have in the same verb tense as in the original sentence. And the verb tense of the original sentence is present perfect simple. So we need to write the verb have in the present perfect simple. Present perfect of have is have had. In the negative, in this case it is not positive but it's negative. We haven't, because it's negative. We haven't had. Now an object. What is the object of this sentence? The living room. And the participle, painted. It doesn't change. It's the same. For 2 years. So this means that no nos han pintado la salita desde hace 2 años. Okay, this is the causative form. Okay, number 7. The plumbers were installing the central heating in her house. The plumbers were installing. Okay, pay attention to the verb. Is a past continuous. The central heating in her house. So again, we see that we pay somebody, or we ask somebody to do something for us. Es un encargo, otra vez. So the structure is the causative again, and we need to write the verb have in which verb? Past continuous, in the same verb as the original sentence. So she was having. We change were for was because it's third person singular. She was having. Okay. Now the object, the central heating. Installed. This is the object. Okay, this is the object. Have plus object plus past participle. Install. We need to write this in the past participle. Installed. Installed. She was having the central heating installed in her house, or we can say it's indifferent, but in her house by the plumbers. Or we can also say, by the plumbers here before, okay? Installed. We usually put or place the agent right after the verb, remember. So it is even more correct to say it like that, okay? She was having the central heating installed by the plumber in her house. A ella le estaban instalando la calefacción central en su casa, los fontaneros, okay? Let's see number 8. There is a rumor that the escaped prisoner is in Spain. There is a rumor that the escaped prisoner is in Spain. Hay un rumor de que el prisionero escapado está en España. This structure, like there is a rumor or there is suspicion, or people say, people think, people believe, they say, they believe. These structures, all these structures refer to an impersonal passive sentence, impersonal passive sentence. So, in this case, we start with the person we are talking about, the escaped prisoner, and then the verb to be, of course, in the same verb tense as here, plus a participle. And we can, in fact, this word rumor can also be a verb. So we can say that the escaped prisoner is rumored that, to, because we cannot say that. It's like, imagine, it is the same structure as I said, as people think. The escaped prisoner is thought to. So forget about that, we use to. The escaped prisoner is rumored to be, we cannot say to is, to be in Spain. And the meaning is the same. Se rumorea que el prisionero escapado está en España. Okay? Remember this structure. There is a rumor. This is the same as people say, or it is said, or people think, or it is believed, etc. In number 9, they won't let us use, sorry, here there is a missing verb. They won't let us use the phone inside the building. Let us use. They won't let us use. Ellos no nos van a dejar usar el móvil dentro del edificio. Pay attention to this sentence, the original sentence. What is the message here? The message is like a prohibition, something that is forbidden. So if somebody forbids us to do something, then we are not allowed. It's the same that not the same as we are not allowed. So we want is in the future. We cannot say we are not, but we need to use the future. We won't be allowed to use the phone inside the building. Okay, remember that the verb is be allowed to, but we need to write it in the same verb tense as the original sentence. And this is the message. The message is, as I said, is a prohibition. And for prohibitions, remember to these verbs like won't let us, or not be allowed to, forbid, etc. Especially when we are changing this one sentence from another. Okay. In number 10, let's read number 10. As we can see, there are inverted commas already. Here and here are inverted commas. So immediately we see that this sentence is a sentence in direct speech. So what the exercise is going to ask us to rewrite the sentence in reported speech. So why don't you try to use honey for your sore throat? He asked. ¿Por qué no intentas usar miel para tu dolor de garganta? Él preguntó. Okay. The second sentence already gives us this verb. He wanted. He wanted. Okay, why do we use wanted? Because first of all, this direct speech sentence is a question, and when we report questions, we need to think about the types of questions that there are in English. WH questions or yes/no questions. So you need to use a specific structure in questions depending of it is a WH question or an yes/no question. So in this case it is a WH question. We say he wanted to know. He wanted to know. And now we need to add the WH question, WH word. Why? He asked, and you. This you usually refers to I, to the first person. I usually refer it to the first person I. Why I or we could say. He wanted to know why I or we. Now the verb tense don't try is the present simple. And in the passive, in the reported speech, the verb tense changes one step backwards. So the present changes to the past. The present simple changes to the present to the past simple. The past simple to the past perfect, etc. So this verb must be this. Especially this must be in the past. Why we didn't try to use honey for, well, I'm going to write it completely, for instead of your, I should say my, because my or our sore throat. Our sore throat. Okay. So again, when we read the first sentence, we need to think about if it is reported speech or direct speech, what type of sentence it is, if it is an affirmative sentence, negative sentence, or a question. If it is a question, the reporting verb must be wanted to know or asked. Okay? Asked if. Sorry, ask why in this case. Ask why. Ask if is used when the question is a yes-no question. Okay? I don't know if you could read this this sentence properly. Let's see. Maybe here you can read it more. Yeah, there. No. Okay. Yeah, there. There maybe you can read it more properly. Try to use honey for my sore throat. Okay? Let's continue. Now, I read this sentence for you and let's see what the meaning is. You should give up smoking or you will suffer from cancer, Mr. Thomas, Dr. Jones said. And I also said reporting verb here. We need to use a reporting verb. So we see the verb should, direct speech, and they need to use a reporting verb. Okay, so what is this person doing when he's talking to Mr. Thomas? He's saying should, so a piece of advice. He is giving a piece of advice. So the reporting verb for advice is advice, the verb advice. Dr. Jones advised Mr. Thomas and advised follows the structure reporting verb plus object plus to infinitive. To give up smoking, or now we have you, but this you is not I in this case because he's talking about Mr. Thomas. So, or he will changes in reported speech to good. Full stop. We omit this Mr. Thomas. We don't talk about Mr. Thomas now because we already mentioned Mr. Thomas here. Okay. Now in the next sentence again we see inverted commas and a reporting verb. I'll call the police if you don't leave me immediately, she said. I'll call the police. Llamaré a la policía si tú no me dejas inmediatamente. Oh, this is like the girl is like warning, making a warn, no? Está advirtiendo. So there is a reporting verb for to warn somebody. She warned I could say she warned me or us to leave her immediately. Or she would call, I will call. Will changes to good. Or she could call the police. Okay, she warned us to leave her immediately, or she would call the police. Okay. The next sentence, it is not a direct speech sentence because there are not inverted commas. Let's read the sentence. The house is owned by Caleb Cruz. The thieves broke into it. La casa pertenece a Caleb Cruz. Los ladrones entraron a robar en ella. Okay, so we see two sentences, and we see that there is something in the second sentence, something is repeated. What is repeated? Here the sentence begins to talk about the house, and then in the second sentence it talks about it. So this it refers to the house. This is called the antecedent. The house is the antecedent. So again, this sounds to relative sentences. Okay, we need to join both sentences. Also, in the second sentence, we see the verb, a verb plus a preposition. Okay, in this type of sentences, whenever we see a verb with a preposition in the second sentence, then we need to write, we need to include the preposition, and we can write it in two forms. I always will ask you to use the formal style, especially for written essays on written exams. And remember, in the formal style, the preposition goes before the relative pronoun. Now, so we know that it is we need to use the formal style. Also, we need to see if it is a defining or non-defining relative sentence. Okay, let's see if the first sentence makes sense by itself. We know what we are talking about. For example, the house is owned by Caleb Cruz. The house, but which house? We don't know which house. So it is indefinite. So we need to make it definite. We need to specify which house we are talking about. That's why it is a defining. We need to define which house specifically we are talking about. So it is a defining relative. It is defining. And let's see. The word that is repeated is the pronoun it. So it is a thing. So the relative can be which, in this case, which is defining, is the relative is which, and we need to use a preposition. And we need to use the formal style. So, how can we combine the sentence? We need to specify which house, the house into which the thieves broke, and now we complete the sentence with part of the first sentence, is owned by Caleb Cruz. Okay? The house into which, remember. Now, can we replace which for that? No, we cannot say that, because it is with prepositions we never use that. Can we omit the relative? No, because with a preposition, again, we cannot omit anything. And even all the omissions of any word in formal style is not adequate. You mustn't omit words in formal style, okay? Now we are nearly finishing with this part of the explanation of rephrasing exercises. These three, there is 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a few sentences left. So, number 14, the School of Languages has been given 20 laptops. Half of them are brand new. Okay, in this sentence, let's see the meaning first of all. The School of Languages, la escuela de lenguas, ha sido entregada, se le ha entregado 20 portátiles, se le han entregado 20 portátiles. La mitad de ellos son totalmente nuevos. Okay? So we see two sentences, and there is something repeated in the second sentence. What is repeated in the second sentences? Well, it talks about laptops, and then refers to whom? To the laptops. So this is the antecedent. Laptops is the antecedent. So again, we are we're talking about a relative sentence. Let's see if the sentence is the sentence that we have to write is defining or non-defining. So let's read the first sentence. The School of Languages has been given 20 laptops. Sorry. The School of Languages has been given 20 laptops. Well, this sentence makes sense by itself. It's quite clear which school we are talking about. The School of Languages. So we don't need the second sentence to understand the first one, because the first sentence is completely understandable. So it is clearly a non-defining relative clause. Okay, it's a non-defining relative clause. Now we need to know the relative. Which relative we must use? Okay, them refers to laptops, and laptops are things, so the relative that we must use is which. Okay, try not to get confused by half of them. No, this is just part of the sentence, and we must rewrite it. We must write it again. Don't pay too much attention to this. We need to write it, but it is part of this phrase. So it is non-defining. The School of Languages. Remember that when we talk about non-defining, we need to use comma. Where do we place the comma here? Let's see. The School of Languages has been given 20 laptops, comma, half of them. No, we don't repeat them. We say half of which. It sounds strange, but it is correct. Half of which are brand new. Okay. Okay, so we have here a relative non-defining sentence. Okay, number 15. Let's see number 15. The fire was brought under control thanks to the night watchers. The fire was brought under control. El fuego fue conseguido aplacar, fue aplacado o puesto en control, fue controlado, se fue puesto bajo control, etc. There are many meanings that you can use, but fue puesto bajo control gracias a los vigilantes de la noche. Okay, you know that in some neighborhoods, I think it's in the USA, there are some neighbors that walk past the streets of their neighborhood. They are called night watchers in order to watch possible criminals and crimes. So these are neighbors actually. So, el fuego fue controlado, fue puesto bajo control gracias a los vigilantes nocturnos o de la noche. And now read the second sentence. If it hadn't. Okay, this is clearly a conditional sentence. And pay attention that of the verb, the main verb is in the past. So, when the main verb of the sentence is in the past, we need to use the third conditional, the third type. Okay, so hadn't plus participle. If it hadn't, si no hubiese sido por los vigilantes nocturnos, if it hadn't been for the night watchers, comma, remember to use after if, we need to use comma, then the fire here we have past perfect. in the sentence, in the if sentence past perfect, and in the other sentence, yes, in the main sentence, conditional perfect. The fire no habría sido puesto bajo control, no se habría controlado. Wouldn't have been brought under control. Okay. So, si no hubiese sido por los vigilantes nocturnos, el fuego habría sido, pues, no habría sido controlado. Y controlar, remember that is the verb be in the past plus participle and the control. Okay. Well, remember that it is would have plus participle. Now, 17. They arrived very late because they had a flat tire. Ellos llegaron muy tarde, again is in the past, ellos llegaron muy tarde porque ellos, tenían una rueda pinchada, a flat tire. So, if, again the sentence if, we have the same situation, it is the third conditional. If, si ellos no hubiesen tenido una rueda pinchada, si ellos no hubiesen tenido la rueda pinchada, if they hadn't had a flat tire, comma, they would have arrived earlier. Or we can say they wouldn't have arrived late. Okay? And now we have the last two sentences of this part, both with modals. We need to use a modal. And when we need to use a modal, we need to think about the intention of the speaker. What is the purpose when the speaker says something? No? Perhaps Anita didn't get the message. Perhaps is a possibility. So we use Anita is a possibility and it's in the past. So we need to use a modal perfect. In this case, possibility, Anita may or might or could plus have. May, well, it is in the negative, may not. Not, we need to use the negative here as well, not have got the message. Okay. Anita, es posible que no hubiese, remember that after may, might, could, we need to use the infinitives, the basic form. Got the message. Anita podría no haber, pudo no haber cogido el mensaje. Okay, number 19. A modal again. I believe She repaired the car herself. I believe this expression, this verb shows certainty about something. So when we talk about certainty, we must use the modal must. And let's see if it is a modal simple or a modal perfect. Oh, yes, here we have a past. The sentence is in the past, so we need to again to use a modal perfect. A modal perfect. Okay, so in this case, believe, certainty, must. So must have. I believe she must have repaired the car herself. So she must have repaired. Okay. Debió, no debió, sino debe, casi seguro, haber reparado el coche por ella misma, porque lo creo, porque tengo la certeza, eso indica certeza. Okay? Now, let's do these last three sentences about more reporting verbs, other reporting verbs. I chose these three, but there are many that you can see in your books, in your grammar book, many reporting verbs referring to the intention of the speaker when he sends a message. Okay. For example, yes, I didn't stop at the red light. Yes, I didn't do it. Yes, I didn't do it. Okay. In this case, what is the intention of the speaker to recognize something, admit something? He admits something. She admits something. So I would use the verb admit. She admitted. Admitted. The structure is, remember, the structure is not gerund, is not infinitive, is that. That. She admitted that the past simple changes to the past perfect. She hadn't stopped at the red lights. Okay, she admitted that. Okay, the next one is, you should have a look at your grammar book every day, he told me. Deberías echarle un vistazo a tu libro de gramática cada día, todos los días. Should. Again, this sounds like the speaker is giving me a piece of advice. So the verb, the reporting verb is advised. He advised and me. He advised me. This structure, advised, is one of the verbs that is followed by to infinitive. He advised me with one thing that it is also correct to say he advised me that I had to. We could also use that sentence, a sentence with that, but it is more frequent to use advise me to do something. He advised me to have a look at my grammar book every day. Okay, and the last sentence is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't send you the letter. She said to me. So, what is the speaker doing? The speaker is saying sorry, she's apologizing. Se está disculpando. So, the verb that I would use is apologize. And apologize is always followed by for. And for plus gerund. Okay? So, she apologized to me, because we include the complements. We must include the complements. She apologized to me for I didn't. A negative sentence, the past simple changes to past perfect. For not, first we write the negative, not having, in gerund, having sent sent you, this you is me, sent me the letter. Okay, so this I think that you can read the last sentence. Apologize to me. Okay, so remember with these reporting verbs that you need to catch the intention of the speaker when he says something. If he wants to warn about something, if he wants to apologize, if he wants to deny, decir que no ha hecho algo, or to threaten, amenazar, etc., etc. You also need to remember the structures of the three structures of these other reporting verbs, but especially the verbs followed by ing. Basically, apologize for, deny doing something, or suggest doing something. Okay, so try to remember the most frequent ones: deny, apologize, suggest, and also recommend. Recommend is the fourth one. He recommended going out, for example. Okay, if you remember these four verbs, that they are followed by ing, then it is going to be more simple. Everything is going to be more simple when you have to do these exercises. Okay, I hope it was a little bit more clear, and please, if you have any doubt, any question, don't hesitate to contact me at my mail or the virtual lesson. Thank you for watching and see you soon. Bye bye. Bye bye.